Hey, this is C&D Channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for Bellator 112 at Straus versus Curran 3, which happens on March 14th. Gotta say, like this card. I'm liking the formula that Bellator has been using as of late. A title fight in the main event. And the rest of the main card are the tournament fights. And if it's the 8-man tournament, they'll have a tournament fight in the prelims. And also this tournament looks pretty good. You know, Andrey Koreshkov, Nah-Shon Burrell, Cristiano Souza, Oropeza, Juarez, and McDonough, Nathan Correa. You know, Bradley's actually not too bad either. Paul Bradley, not too bad. All these guys, I wouldn't really say Nathan Correa, Paul Bradley are prospects because they're in their 30s. They also have a good amount of fights and experience under the belt. Nathan Correa is in his mid-30s. Paul Bradley, he's still only 30, but he has like 27 fights. He's been around the block. He's fun to UFC, Strikeforce. I wouldn't really call him a prospect. But you know, Juarez, McDonough, Cristiano Souza, Oropeza, Andrey Koreshkov, Nah-Shon Burrell, definitely all prospects. I think most of these guys are in their 20s, early to late 20s for all these guys. That's what I always like to see with these tournaments too, is definitely more prospect heavy tournaments. The undercard, you got some prospects there too. AJ Matthews. Keep an eye out for Darrion Caldwell. He is one of the top wrestlers out there. Wouldn't surprise me if Anthony Gomez beats Jason Guida and gets in the next light heavyweight tournament. There's some decent prospects on the undercard as well. Diego Marlon. I don't know much about him, but 15 subs, 28 years old, 4-fight win streak. Could be a good prospect as well. Let's get started. On the main event, we have Bellator featherweight champion Daniel Straus versus Pat Curran. This fight's really intriguing, but in the same sense, I'm a bit disappointed because I want to see Daniel Straus versus Patricky Pitbull Freire 2. Patricio won against Straus in a 3-round fight. And there's a nice backstory because Patricio had never actually won a Bellator title. He's always been a finalist and a contender, but he's never won the actual belt. So, there's definitely a good story there. But instead, they're opting with Straus versus Curran 3. I also have to say, I thought that the second fight between Straus and Curran is pretty definitive for Daniel Straus. This is an interesting matchup, though, nonetheless. But, who I'm picking versus who I think will win are two almost two different things. I'm going to pick Pat Curran to win this one. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. However, I think Daniel Straus actually, from a stylistic point of view, might have more chances to win, and is a really good bet to win if this fight goes to decision. Let me explain myself. Let's get some stats out of the way first. Pat Curran, 19-5 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He's 26 years old, training out of Team Curran. He is the former Bellator featherweight champion. He is a strong counter striker with really good defense. He's a guy that you just don't see get hit clean too much. He's a good wrestler, both offensive and defensively. I wish he'd use his offensive wrestling more. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is solid. This is a guy that went up against Shamalayev. Goes for an offensive takedown. Kind of briefly takes the back. Transitions to the guillotine. Wins in the first round. And Shavkat Shamalayev is a very good fighter. And Pat Curran made it look easy to beat him. I think he put him to sleep too. Daniel Straus, 22-4 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO. He's 29 years old on a 6-fight win streak, training out of ATT. He is big for 145. So is Pat Curran, though. He is a grinder. He will grind against the cage, or he'll try and take you down and hold top position and grind down there as well. And he generally stays busy. His wrestling's good. His boxing's greatly improving as well. Especially, he's been showing a very good left hand. And he's good in the clinch and has some really strong cardio. Here's the problem stylistically for Pat Curran here. He's a counter striker, and he in general lets his opponent get off first. When it's striking, Curran's good at finding the counter strikes. The problem with Straus is a lot of times he'll probably just get him up against the cage and try to grind away. You can't really counter strike that. You can counter wrestle, but you can only for the most part you can only defend, but there isn't much as far as doing damage as far as Straus's offense or countering Straus's wrestling is concerned at times. Like I said, though, I think Pat Curran just more. And here's the thing: I think Pat Curran, and you see this in a lot of fights with him too. He'll lose rounds just because, even if he's not getting hit clean, he's gonna lose rounds because the other guy just tends to have more output, and is usually the aggressor. He won't get hit clean, and the times he will win, in general, is he has to, at times, do something big, too. He has to get a really clean hit, and really make it known to the judges that he got the clean hit. Like I said, I wish he'd use his offensive wrestling a lot more. Especially against Daniel Straus. If you ever watched Daniel Straus' last opponent he lost to was Patricio Pitbull Freire. 15 minutes, right? If he wants to fight, a lot of it actually is Patricio mixing in offensive wrestling along with his severe stand-up to win the fight. But he had to work throughout the whole 15 minutes to beat Daniel Straus. If Pat Curran just elects to just keep the fight standing, not really use offensive wrestling, it makes it a lot tougher proposition for Pat Curran, in my opinion, just knowing Straus' style of fighting. I'm kind of just banking that Pat Curran will find some good counter-striking in there. But it really is a case of, if the fight goes to decision, I'm going to Straus. If it's a finish, I'll go with Curran. Or else, unless Curran does some really significant damage. And that's kind of what I'm banking on. That really changes the complexion of the fight. I'll go with Pat Curran to win this one. But I definitely have my reservations, that's for sure. Next fight after that, Nah-Shon Burrell fights Andrey Koreshkov. I always liked Nah-Shon Burrell ever since I saw him in Strikeforce. He's a 10-3 record with 1 no contest, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by decision. He's 24 years old. Not a specialist anywhere. The thing that stands out about the guy, he's just really athletic. I mean that's really discrediting him. But his stand-up is solid. His grappling is improving. This is a guy that will do a crunch in order to get out of mount. The guy, seriously, he gets his back taken, and all he needs to do is stand back to explode back to his feet and get out of back mount. Seriously, this is stuff he does. He's just a really athletic guy. Like I said, not a specialist, but and still developing. He's good in the stand-up, but there's definitely room to develop there. I forgot what other prospect in Strikeforce they beat him up in the stand-up. Chris Bang, beat him up in the stand-up. Andrey Koreshkov, though, his only loss is to Ben Askren. He has a 14-1 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's only 23 years old, training out of Rust Fighters. Strong kickboxer, really good knees. He actually has some pretty good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, it's not like his strongest point, but it's not super weak. You saw it in the Askren fight, but there's kind of an asterisk that he didn't really practice much wrestling against Askren, which is not smart. His takedown defense is still, it's shown to be all pretty good, but against Askren, that guy got taken down at will. Nonetheless, I kind of see the fight staying standing for one thing. I'm going to go with Andrey Koreshkov to win this one. I think he's a superior kickboxer. And actually, if you go with the Chris Spang fight, Nah-Shon Burrell got beaten by the superior kickboxer. I'll go with Andrey Koreshkov to win this one. The next fight after that, Cristiano Souza fights Sam Oropeza. Interesting fight here. Both these guys are still definitely developing. I was actually watching Cristiano Souza's fight against I think it's Alejandro Garcia. Garcia got the first round. Cristiano Souza in the third round managed to choke him out, though. Oropeza, I saw him against Karavakis, a couple of his other Bellator fights. He had a good fight with Goodridge. I forgot the guy's first name, though. Oropeza has a 10-2 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. He's 28 years old on a 5-fight win streak, training out of Philadelphia Fight Factory. He is a finisher that's never been to decision. The most recent fight, I tried to do some research here. The most recent fight I saw him at that went longer than the first round was against Goodridge. And he showed some good stand-up there. From other fights I've seen, he's shown some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There isn't any one thing with Oropeza, though, that stands out. That's the thing. So it's really hard for me to really gauge what type of fighter he is. However, he is a good, solid prospect nonetheless. Cristiano Souza, 7-0, undefeated record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's training out of ATT. He does have a capoeira background. He has some really good kicks. His punching, though, isn't the greatest. At times, he kind of relegates himself. He hits hard, but he kind of relegates himself to throwing haymakers. Some wild looping punches. You really saw that in the Alejandro Garcia fight as well. Especially his skills are pretty solid as well. It's hard for me to really say where this fight goes. I'll go with Cristiano Souza to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Jesse Juarez fights Adam McDonough. Adam McDonough has a 9-0 undefeated record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He does have some good stand-up, really good kicks. He throws a spinning back kick like a jab. I've only seen one of his fights. I saw his fight against Johnny Buck in Bellator. It was in the prelims, and he looked good. He threw in combination, throws some good kicks. One thing that makes me really hesitant about him was he got taken down twice by Johnny Buck. Which makes me wonder about his takedown defense. He does have 3 submission wins. I think it's like an arm triangle, and I forgot what the other ones were. But Jesse Juarez has a 21-8 record with 6 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 5 losses by sub. On a 4-fight win streak, training out of Body Shop Fitness. He's a good wrestler with good top control. His cardio is pretty good as well. And that's the thing with Jesse Juarez too. I remember watching him fight like Douglas Lima in MFC. And some of his other fights, he really uses. I've seen him use superior wrestling and top control to win fights. And, that's why I kind of mentioned the Johnny Buck fight and how he's getting taken down. I have to lean a little more towards Jesse Juarez just on the aspect of wrestling here. McDonough, I love his stand-up. You know, that guy was throwing like crazy uppercuts. You know, I don't remember. I think they were almost like lead uppercuts. You know, it's hard to throw those. And I liked that he threw in combination. I liked his kicks. I mean, I liked what I saw. It's just I've seen Jesse Juarez fight before. He's very much more experienced. Fought some really good guys. I mentioned Douglas Lima, and he was winning the fight until the 4th round until he got triangled. So yeah, you know, I got to go Jesse Juarez to win this one. Okay, on the prelims, which will be on Spike.com. Another welterweight tournament opening round fight has Paul Bradley fighting Nathan Coy. Paul Bradley has a 21-5 record with 1 no contest, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub. He's 30 years old, training out of Alliance. He actually has I guess you can call it an upset win over Carl Amasu in his last fight. He kind of land prayed on him, though. It didn't really do much as far as damage goes. And Bradley's really experienced. He's fought in Strikeforce, fought in the UFC. You know, very experienced guy. Nathan Coy, 13-4 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 35 years old on a 5-fight win streak. Trains out of ATT. You know, some of the fights I remember Nathan Coy for. I remember he lost to like Nate James in Strikeforce. But an eye-opening one was the Diego Lima fight. He actually had another one in MFC where he did really well. Jeez, I forgot who he fought. And actually, back in Strikeforce when he fought Tyron Woodley, a lot of people thought that Nathan Coy won. One thing about Coy, he's a good wrestler, and he's relentless about getting takedowns. He's kind of a grinder with really good top control. Good in the clinch as well. If you watch the Tyron Woodley fight, he clinches him a lot, throws knees to the thigh, kind of grinds. You know, I gotta go with Nathan Coy to win this one. Okay, next one after that, AJ Matthews fights Belal Muhammad. AJ Matthews, 6-2 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by decision. With Belal Muhammad, 4-0 undefeated record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by decision. You know, I'll go with AJ Matthews to win that one. I've seen some of his fights. You know, I honestly don't know much about Belal Muhammad. Interesting though that he is 4-0. I wonder about his level if he's fought good level of competition or not. But I'll go with AJ Matthews to win that one. Okay, next fight, I thought Lloyd Carter fights Diego Marlon. Lloyd Carter has a 15-5 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by decision. He also has 3 losses by submission. Then when you go to Diego Marlon, he has a 24-8 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, and 15 wins by submission. Of course, he has 5 losses by submission as well. 28 years old on a 4-fight win streak. I just more experienced guy that's not at a .500 record. Got to go Diego Marlon to win that one. Next fight after that, we have 2 undefeated prospects as Darrion Caldwell fights Lance Surma. Well, Lance Surma has a 2-0 undefeated record with 1 win by KO, 1 win by decision. Darrion Caldwell, 3-0 undefeated record with 1 win by TKO, 2 wins by decision. 26 years old, training out of Power Team MMA. Guys like Bader, Dalloway, Aaron Simpson, Seth Baczynski, they all train at Power Team MMA. So really strong wrestler. I mean, he has all the accolades you want in like a wrestler transitioning into MMA. I gotta go with Darrion Caldwell to win this one. Next fight is that Derek Loffer fights Bobby Reardanz. I always see Bobby Reardanz in Bellator prelims. You know, he has a losing record of an 8-12 record, 1 win by TKO, 7 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO and 5 losses by submission. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. With Derek Loffer, he has a 6-2 record with 5 wins by TKO, 1 win by sub. Also has a loss by TKO and loss by sub. So he's never been to decision, and he is a finisher. I'll go with the guy with the winning record, Derek Loffer, to win that one. Next fight after that, Jason Guida fights Anthony Gomez. Jason Guida, losing record, 19-27 record with 2 no contests. 6 wins by KO TKO, 10 wins by sub. He also has 6 losses by KO TKO and 8 losses by sub. He's 36 years old. The brother, Clay Guida. He definitely didn't get, great fighting ability, MMA fighting ability that his brother got. I don't know what I can say about Jason Guida too. I mean, he's a veteran. I wouldn't say he has a great stand-up or anything. It's adequate. It's adequate wrestling, and everything about him is just kind of adequate. One thing about him, he's not always in shape. It's kind of noticeable. But yeah, he's fighting Anthony Gomez, who has a 7-2 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub on a 2-fight win streak. I'll go with Anthony Gomez to win that one. And finally, Erick Correa fights Daniel James. Daniel James has no pro MMA bouts under his belt. He's 1-0 as an amateur, and his one fight that he's had as an amateur, he got a KO with Erick Correa. 2-0 undefeated record, 1 win by TKO, 1 win by decision. I'll go with Erick Correa to win that one. I don't know much about those guys though. Okay, to recap, I have Pat Curran over Daniel Straus, Andrey Koreshkov over Nah-Shon Burrell, Cristiano Souza over Sam Oropeza, and Jesse Juarez over Adam McDonough. On the prelims, I got Nathan Correa over Paul Bradley, AJ Matthews beating Belal Muhammad, Diego Marlon beating Lloyd Carter, Darrion Caldwell over Lance Surma, Derek Loffer beating Bobby Reardanz, Anthony Gomez over Jason Guida, and Erick Correa beating Daniel James. So that's it for my predictions for Bellator 112, Straus versus Curran 3. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.